confirmed characters, new leaks on the character creator, and yes, more controversy. Guys, we have so much to talk about. You see, 2021 has been a rocky year so far for Hogwarts Legacy. We do have what could be some legitimate actual news about the game itself, specifically regarding some of its characters, as well as the game's character creator. And we also have mention of a release date and just how long we may be waiting. Unfortunately, we have even more negative news around the game, as one of its lead designers will be leaving Avalanche Studios very soon. All this comes after a journalist brought to light some of the designer's old YouTube videos, and we'll cover it all in today's video. People of the internet, RetroRaconteur here. If we're meeting for the first time, I'm just a dad who loves games and the stories they tell. We post videos every week here on YouTube, and if you're looking for more Hogwarts Legacy videos featuring both news and theories on the game, I've got you covered. Be sure and check out my full Hogwarts Legacy playlist, which I'll have a link to here at the end of the video. So as I mentioned in the beginning, 2021 has been a tough year for Hogwarts Legacy fans thus far. It all started with WB announcing a delay rather early in the year, and it wasn't just for a few months, but rather the game was pushed all the way to 2022. Hogwarts Legacy also keeps getting dragged into political controversies regarding both author JK Rowling as well as Troy Leavitt, a lead designer on the project who announced his resignation from Avalanche on March 4th. After announcing the resignation on his Twitter page, Leavitt would go on to say, quote, "To clarify, I felt absolutely secure in my position. However, I still wanted to resign for reasons that I will explain in that forthcoming video. I'm in excellent spirits and very pleased with my relationship with WB and Avalanche," close quote. His employment with WB continues through March 12th. At the time of recording this video, Leavitt has not yet posted the aforementioned video update. Of course, this has generated a lot of conversation among fans. I should tell you now, this is not going to be a rehash of everything JK Rowling has said or Troy Leavitt's YouTube videos and what all went into his resignation. You guys, I'm just going to be real with you. When I decided to start a YouTube channel, I wanted to talk about video games. In fact, politics would have been the last thing I'd want to have here. Even the inner workings of game development and game development controversies isn't really something that I would ever have on my radar. I just want to talk about games. I mean, we start off and say, I'm just a dad who loves games and the stories they tell, and that's really the foundation of what the channel is always meant to be about. And so here on this channel, my commitment to you is that it's about the games. This is a place for us to break down those barriers that come between us, find a common interest with video games we love, and unless the issues that come up relate directly to the game itself, as they do in some items for today's video, then you probably won't hear me mention them. Now, to be clear here, I know there are a lot of people out there who feel strongly on all sides of this equation, from Troy Leavitt to JK Rowling. There are people who have been hurt by a lot of these comments. And so I want to be clear with you guys. I'm not saying that there isn't a conversation worth having here. In fact, a number of conversations worth having regarding all these issues. It just means this channel here isn't the place for that discussion. But I also know there are so many people out there of all different backgrounds, guys, who just want information about the game itself, and that's how I see my role on this channel. In fact, I think it would be a disservice to you guys if all of a sudden I started talking politics and telling you whether you should or shouldn't support this game because of this or that. I also know there are numerous devs at Avalanche, devs that come from many different backgrounds and beliefs who just want to focus on making a good game. So there's a lot at stake here. There's a lot going on here, and I want to make sure I'm being very respectful of those devs and the work that they're putting into this project. So I hope you guys will respect all of that when you're interacting with one another here in the comments, in our Discord, and on Twitter. This is a family-friendly, accepting, and loving community, and as long as I'm fortunate enough to have this channel going, that's how it will continue to be. So with that, let's get to the news. All right, the first bit here comes to us directly from IMDB, and credit to @WikiHarryPotter on Twitter for finding this. Julia Farino, hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, is an actress listed on IMDB who has an updated profile that includes a role in Hogwarts Legacy. At least she did have an updated profile. At the time of this recording, both of these listings have been removed. In fact, you won't even find Julia on the Hogwarts Legacy page at all, at least that I could find. So to me, that says that it is likely a legitimate leak here. Someone probably made a little accident posting that too soon, and now they've taken it down. Personally, I think it's a little strange they would remove this since these characters don't have names that are instantly recognizable anyway. Here's what the listing included. It was actually 2 roles, and both were mentioned by name. According to that listing, which again does not appear at this time, Julia provides the voice for both a Cassandra Mason and Helen Thistlewood. Now, lots of folks online have been trying to piece this together and find out if we possibly know either of these names from the original series Thistlewood is not a name that we've heard before. We did have a Mr. and Mrs. Mason in Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. However, Mason is a rather common name, so for me, at least, it would be a bit of a surprise if Cassandra was somehow related to that family who met with Uncle Vernon way back in the beginning of Book 2 to discuss that business deal, which Dobby promptly ruined, of course. Now, you can still go to IMDb and check out Julia's full acting credits to see what she has experience in working in. And one role that jumped out to me is that she did have a role in What Remains of Edith Finch. Now, there is a bit more information on the IMDb page that hasn't been removed. There is a listing for Hogwarts Legacy, and it has 5 names mentioned there. First up is Nathan Hendrickson, who is listed as the cinematic director. Nathan was also the cinematic director for both Shadow of War and Shadow of Mordor. Of course, JK Rowling is listed as the writer for characters as well as the universe. Then we also have another writer, Adam Coford, who has written for games like Cars 3 and the Disney Infinity series. Gillian Petrie is also credited as one of the cast members. However, at the time of this recording, no specific characters are listed. Lawrence Kern is credited as doing motion capture for multiple characters, but again, no specific names here. So out of all that, Cassandra Mason and Helen Thistlewood very likely going to be characters we'll meet in Hogwarts Legacy at some point. Now, that's not all of the news. We also got a new leak courtesy of Bloomberg's Jason Schreiber, and this is regarding the game's character creator. So it seems that several of these devs have pushed hard for a character creator that will be inclusive for everyone. So what that means is it's going to allow body, voice, and gender to be adjusted independently of one another. Players will also choose between witch or wizard, and that is what will determine their dormitory. Another interesting point here, Schreier actually goes on to mention that the game is, quote, at least a year away. And that last bit right there may come as a tough blow to some who I know were hoping that the game would launch maybe very early in 2022. At this rate, guys, I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm not sure when to expect Hogwarts Legacy to finally arrive. I've been reading gaming-related news items where other devs are talking about just how difficult COVID has made game development in general. You see, game development is such a collaborative process, and with so many people working remotely, it makes these things even more difficult at times and take a lot more time than they normally would. There's also the issue of Avalanche losing Troy Leavitt, who I believe was a lead designer on the game. I know there's been a little bit of a question mark there because some changes have been made to his LinkedIn profile, but whatever the exact title was, he did have a leadership position on this game. So if we just look at this from a pure development perspective here, ignoring all those kind of outside issues, it can't be good to lose a prominent team member just after you announce a lengthy delay. Now, hopefully his resignation doesn't slow them down too much. There are likely other dev members who served a similar role, and hopefully they'll be able to find someone who can fulfill his day-to-day duties. I do wonder, I think it'll be interesting to watch, will they outright replace him and bring in someone totally new to the project? Or will they do more of a thing where they kind of divide up his job responsibilities among others who are already there and kind of know what's going on? We will continue to report on Hogwarts Legacy here, but if you guys are new, I do have a Harry Potter Let's Play series up on the channel. I'll link that in the left side of the screen. I'm also a huge Animal Crossing fan and Nintendo games in general, so lots of stuff here on the channel for you to check out. As always, guys, thank you all so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.